Calendar for the day. The first bill on the calendar for the day is House File 1702. The clerk will report the bill.
House File number 1702, number 7 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to juvenile justice, the first engrossment.
Recognize the member from Morrison, Representative Kresha, to introduce your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And that is my bill, but I believe we have a couple of amendments to report.
Representative Kresha offers the following amendment. The clerk will report the amendment.
Kresha moves to amend House File number 1702, the first engrossment, and the amendment is coded A5.
Recognize the member from Morrison, Representative Kresha, to introduce your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. This amendment just simply gets us in similar language with the Senate so that when we pass it out of both houses, we'll be able to concur and move right to the governor's desk. I would appreciate a green vote.
Any discussion on the A5 Kresha amendment? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of adoption of the A5 amendment signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. The motion prevails and the amendment is adopted. Representative Kresha offers the following amendment. The clerk will report the amendment.
Kresha moves to amend House File number 1702, the first engrossment as amended, and the amendment is coded A4.
Recognize the member from Morrison, Representative Kresha, to introduce your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. And this is by far the most important amendment because this changes the title of the bill to the champion of this, and that is allows us to cite this in law as McKenna's law. And as I present the bill, I think you'll agree and you'll know why. So I would ask for a green vote on this amendment as well.
Any discussion on the Kresha A4 amendment? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor of adoption of the A4 amendment signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no. Motion prevails and the amendment is adopted. There are no further amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading.
Third reading, House File number 1702, as amended.
Third reading. Recognize the member from Morrison, Representative Kresha, to introduce your bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. So I've been trying to find the right words for this bill, and I'm very happy to have McKenna and her siblings and her family up in the gallery with us today. And I kept going back and forth of how I was going to present this bill. And what I ultimately came back to was the story that McKenna has told in committee from time and time and time again. When I first met McKenna and her grandma, Kathy, she came through the Child Protection Task Force, came in the public part of the meeting and told her story. And what has inspired me in this whole process is the fact that for all the things that we do down here, members, to keep in mind that there are times when we listen, when we stop and listen to the people that we represent, we can champion their efforts and pull them forward. So with that, members, I would like to share McKenna's story with you because she can't because of customary usage, but I'm going to share the same story that I've heard time and time again. My name is McKenna Ehrenholtz, and I'm 12 years old. I'm writing to request a hearing on House File 1702, telling foster kids they have a right to an attorney. We need your help. This law is important to me, my brothers, sisters, and all current and future foster care kids in Minnesota, because had I known I could have had someone to give me a voice, I may not have been sent back so many times to neglect and abuse. See, us kids have an opinion. It is our lives that are being neglected and abused. At least that's how it was for us. I am one of 5 kids in my family and the second oldest. I have been in the system for as long as I can remember. My grandmother told me there were 17 cases on us since 2006. My parents were mentally sick and drug addicts. My mom was unable to take care of us and left us 6 years ago. The court ordered her not to see us until we are 18, and that is very hard for us. My dad tried to take care of us but failed horribly. When he took care of us, we were starved, and he physically and mentally abused us. He gave us nasty clothes. I even had to scrape dog doo-doo off our clothing so that we would have something to wear for school. I would find whatever I could find to feed my sister and brother. A restaurant down the street knew our situation and helped us eat at least one time a week. And we would sneak canned goods from my dad and then bring them up to our rooms and open them with butcher knives. Social workers and our guardian ad litem never listened to us. We were always sent back to live with him. I was never informed before I met my grandparents that I was allowed an attorney, or that someone could have been there to listen to me. One thing that is important for people like yourselves to know is that I and my brother and sisters were too afraid of him to speak up in front of him. We knew if we did, he would hurt us. Never, ever let a child be interviewed in front of their parents. See, in 2014, on my brother's 11th birthday, we met our grandfather and his fiancée for the first time. Meeting Grandpa and Grandma Kathy was good because in September, we were once again taken out of our home and put into foster care. My grandpa and Grandma Kathy went to court to help us. They became our foster care parents after 6 months of being with other foster parents. They fought hard for us so that we could have a good future. During our stay with our grandparents, we had to visit Dad at his house when we didn't want to, even for a week at a time, and it was horrible. I remember he even yelled at us about missing a brush that he had lost and blamed us for it. He punched and hit me and my siblings many times. We were fed maggot cookies, we were yelled at, ate on the floor with a box for a table with our dog's doo-doo on the floor. My social worker would come and tell him to feed us because he wouldn't do so unless they told him to. We had to see my dad naked. We survived this too because we were used to it. They still wanted to send us home even after the maggot cookies and yelling and gross dirty house. I kept wondering, why would they send us back? My grandmother and grandpa asked our guardian ad litem, social worker and county attorney, for an attorney for us, but they didn't listen. I asked for one after I was explained by my grandparents what one was and what they would do for me, and was not granted. What really saved us was that my brother and sisters and I wrote letters to the judge telling him all that we had been through. We were finally appointed an attorney. Things changed, they finally listened. I have been punched, starved, and neglected, and I don't want anyone else to go through that. So I think the law needs to change. The people that make the laws, like yourselves, need to hear us kids who are the ones who are going through this stuff. So please talk to the kids like me and ask them what they need. I wish I could have had parents that were normal, but they weren't. And so for us, the best thing in the whole world was to have a new home to go to, which our attorney helped us get. My grandma and grandpa saved our lives. But what about all the other kids that have no one to help them and listen to them? Who should tell them they are allowed an attorney? Kids don't know this and may be too scared to ask. If kids are allowed an attorney, someone should tell them about that. One more thing. The court is making us have visits still with my dad, but I refuse to go. I have nothing to say to him. So to sum things up, please pass this law to help all kids have a voice. We are young, but we are also smarter than you think. Save our kids' future, inform them that they have a voice, give them the tools to help. Give them an attorney. You give them to parents, or at least my dad had one. So please, I really want this new law to pass so that other kids in Minnesota don't have to go through what my brother, sisters, and I went through. Thank you for your time and listening. Your friend, McKenna. I had one more piece that her grandmother passed on to me as well, and she said, "We're so thrilled to be at this point. McKenna wanted to make a difference for others. Although the law doesn't benefit her and the siblings, it makes them happy. All of these kids have the biggest heart." Members, what this bill simply does is fulfills something adults should be doing, and that is telling these kids when they get into this situation, they have the right to counsel, they have the right to have an objective voice when they don't have one. And so, what I'll leave it with, I have a couple of points, Mr. Speaker, members, and I'll stand for questions. But we hear a lot about courage down here, and I will tell you, this young lady has now redefined courage for me. And so with that, members, I'll stand for questions.
Discussion on House File 1702. member from Ramsey, Representative Pinto.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank Representative Kresha for advancing this bill, and especially thank McKenna and her family for their courage and for her courage and their persistence in pursuing this. This is a really needed change. I do want to note for members that this will make sure that kids have notice of their right to an attorney, which they should have. And again, I'm so grateful for moving that forward. It's important that we provide funding and support for the system that will provide attorneys for kids as well. Speaking with the, I know that our public defender system, for example, is at 70% of the resources that they should be at considering their caseload. That's just for the attorneys. For the rest of the system, the support staff, barely half of what they should be. It's important that as we're providing notice of the right to kids of attorneys, that we're also actually providing the attorneys to provide that support as well. And I trust that our members of the conference committee coming out of the House will continue to advance that. I know that we all share the goal of making sure that kids have representation, and I'm so grateful to Representative Kresha and especially to McKenna and her family for making sure that kids are aware of that representation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The member from Dakota, Representative Halverson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the author of the bill for listening. This is a wonderful example that McKenna has set for the rest of the state, that your voice matters to us, whether or not you feel like you have power in the system. Your voice matters to us. And so I hope that McKenna's example will be heard far and wide through the state of Minnesota, for the children of Minnesota, for the people who feel like they're being left out, left behind, like they don't have a voice. Your voice is heard, and we are here to amplify your voice, to hear your calls for justice, and to do the work that you deserve. And so, McKenna, I want you to know that you are making a difference not just for the kids in the juvenile justice system, but for people around the state and around the country who feel like they don't have a voice today. You've shown them that you have power just by being you and just by speaking up. So thank you, McKenna. Thank you, Representative Kresha.
The member from Ramsey, Representative Lesh.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I'd add my voice to the chorus of individuals complimenting McKenna on her poise and message. I will tell you, McKenna, that you impressed a lot of legislators here, far more so than the average testifier on an important bill. There are a lot of testifiers and bills that come through here, and it might be once every few sessions that someone comes through who does as good a job as you did and represents as well as you did. So thank you for that. I do have a question for the author, Representative Kresha, if he would yield, Mr. Speaker.
He will yield. Representative Lesh.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Representative Kresha, echoing the questions raised by Representative Pinto, can you tell me how you got the public defenders to take on more cases with no fiscal note?
Representative Kresha.
I'm really good, Representative Lesh.
Representative Lesh.
Mr. Speaker, thank you, Representative Kresha. I want to point out one thing. When I was in law school, I had a law professor, Professor Larry Bakken. If you're listening, Professor, shout out. He used to be the mayor of Golden Valley, actually, and he was a professor at Hamlin Law School. And when we take a class from him, he used to say, you know, there are two bills that go through every legislature. The bill that makes the world right for humanity and the appropriations bill. We all want to vote for that first one, but when it gets to voting for that second one, we start to get a little squeamish. So it may be, Representative Kresha, that they can absorb this, but I just know, echoing Representative Pinto, that we have not been that good to the public defenders for many, many years. So I hope we can keep that in mind. Thank you.
The member from Morrison, Representative Kresha.
And thank you for that. And thank you, Representative Lesh, for calling that out. As I pointed out in public safety, I do believe we need to make sure the resources are there. What this bill does, and the reason we're here, is because it's already in law that these kids are entitled to counsel. We just aren't telling them. So what this does is ensures that social workers will let them know that they have that already existing right. I fully expect, and I'm happy to do so, that I will come back with fiscal notes at the appropriate time and try to get that funding. We've been trying to do it this year. We haven't been as successful as I'd like. But this should be a catalyst for all of us to put 134 votes behind this cause. So thank you, Representative Lesh, and you called out appropriately, and I agree.
The member from Anoka, Representative Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Representative Kresha, for bringing this bill, and thanks to McKenna and her family and her grandma Kathy and her husband, her grandpa. And one of the things that struck me as a result of this bill and of McKenna's testimony was that I was always under the impression that the guardian ad litem was there to represent the best interest of the child. And in her testimony, she shared that that wasn't the case for her and her siblings. And so I want to challenge this body to take a serious look at that program in the future. I know of at least 2 other cases right now where this seems to be happening in a very similar way. And it's very frustrating as a legislator because we're not supposed to intervene with the courts and those sorts of things. But I just want to challenge this body to take more of McKenna's words at heart when she talked about the guardian ad litem, and these kids were pleading to the guardian ad litem and nothing was being done on their behalf. So that's just my word. Please vote green. This is a great bill. Thanks.
The member from Blue Earth, Representative Considine.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And yes, McKenna is one of the most remarkable young women that I think I have ever met. And how about a round of applause for McKenna and all the work that she did?
The member from Hennepin, Representative Hillstrom.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And members, Representative Kresha has really done a great job with this proposal, and McKenna did a great job in making the points. Members, children are currently entitled to a public defender if they're over the age of 10. However, the Children's Law Center has really been stepping up to represent these children that have not had a voice. In addition to the children in the process, before termination of parental rights, being entitled to a lawyer, which people weren't telling them, and sometimes adults were waiving that lawyer without their knowledge or consent, there are children that are in the foster system that have already had their parental rights, their parents have already had their parental rights terminated, who are no longer entitled to a lawyer. So once that court process has ended, these children are no longer entitled to a lawyer. The Children's Law Center has really stepped up in an attempt to make certain that children's voices are being heard. We need to make certain that we have the resources. If we are insisting that these children be removed from the home, as we are, if we are terminating parental rights, which we are, we need to make sure that the children's voice about what they want is heard. So the guardian ad litem's job is to make a recommendation to the court about what their interpretation of the best interest of the child is. But a lawyer is to advocate for what the child wants. And we all know that if you, as a child, are told that you're supposed to do something that's in your best interest, but it isn't what you want, you may not get the same result as a court as if it is consistent with what the child wants. It's really important that these children have a lawyer. It's really important for folks like McKenna to step up and tell their story so that we hear it, because many times these children are forgotten. So thank you, Representative Kresha. I look forward to working with you to continue to move in the direction of making sure all of these children have a lawyer.
Any further discussion? The member from Morrison, Representative Kresha.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, members. Thank you for all the comments, and yes, of course, and after this bill passes, McKenna and her siblings will be down joining us, and I hope that you all get a chance to meet them. She certainly has restored my optimism in humanity, and I think is a lesson for all of us that every time we think things are a little bit hard down here, It's not quite that hard, that we can actually move good legislation, we can do things, and there are people that are going through struggles that we can never know. The last comment I'll make is that, remember, members, not every kid is going to be getting this service. This is for the children that the court has decided they're about to go through the judicial proceedings to be, the parental rights have been terminated and they're out of home placement. Giving them representation to go through a very complicated court system, and more importantly, giving them objective third-party counsel so that they can make decisions. And as McKenna so eloquently said, we're smarter than you think we are. And I think about a kid that has gone this far has probably seen more things than many of the adults, and telling them of their counsel is not that tough. So McKenna, we're about to vote on this, and I want you to watch that board.
Seeing no further discussion, the clerk will take the roll on the bill. The clerk will close the roll. Davney votes aye. Sundin votes aye. There being 130 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed as amended and its title agreed to.